Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'll be covering the weather for August 11th of 2023, and currently we have an enhanced risk for parts of northeastern Kansas into northwestern Missouri, with a bunch of slight risks around that for Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa, and northern Illinois, as well as a slight risk for the Detroit region, as well as a slight risk extending from eastern Kansas into western and southern Illinois. We also do have another slight risk that I probably won't cover too much in today's forecast for eastern Alabama into southern South Carolina here across the Georgian coast. As for our threats for today, we do have two areas of a 2% tornado threat, one for the enhanced risk and one for the slight risk across the Detroit region. And as for our wind threat, we do have 15% for the slight risk regions, and we did have a marginal threat for southern Oklahoma and northern Texas. That does have a 5% wind threat. And as for our hail threat, we do have a 30% with the possibility of large hail for that enhanced risk region, and a 15% for the slight risk region for Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa, and a 5% for the slight risk region across the Dixie states. And we don't have all that much of a hail threat for the marginal threat for northern Texas and southern Oklahoma. Taking a look at our radar omega model, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do. Again, like always, I have the disclaimer for today's video. Again, I have not had the proper time to look over the parameters, just like the last couple days, to get a definitive forecast for today, so some stuff may be inaccurate, and if you do notice anything that may be inaccurate, please correct me in the comments, and hopefully I can fix it later on. As for the 500 millibars, focusing on the enhanced risk region and these three slight risk regions, the reason I'm not breaking them down is because these are all going to be associated with one jet stream. You can see the enhanced risk region, the slight risk region, and the slight risk region across the Detroit region are all going to be triggered by this jet stream that is expected to move through this area. This slight risk region was actually split up into two different areas. For day 2, yesterday, it was connected across Illinois. However, it has been broken down into a slight risk region for Wisconsin and Minnesota and Illinois. As for an enhanced risk for northeastern Kansas and northwestern Missouri. So these have been split up, and there's also this additional slight risk region that was not there the day prior for the Detroit region. But anyways, all this is going to be triggered by this large jet stream that is moving through the area, and it does have some fairly strong mid-level flow attached to it. Mid-level flow that is expected to be up to the 50 knots, possibly getting to the mid-50 knots, maybe a little bit higher as well. So we could see the possibility of some elongated photographs, more so back towards the enhanced risk region, allowing for the possibility of large hail for the enhanced risk region, as well as the possibility of small to medium hail for the slight risk regions. And as for the slight risk region for the Dixie states, you can see that jet stream is slightly weaker for this particular location. However, this is still going to be the main triggering factor for this particular location. That jet stream is very, very weak, so we shouldn't see the possibility of fairly elongated photographs. We should see the possibility of maybe some slightly elongated photographs for the possibility of some small hail in this particular region, but that's about it for this particular region. However, this very broad jet stream, again, is going to be the main triggering factors for these slight risk, enhanced risk regions. Taking a look at our dew points, focusing on the 3 slight risk regions and the enhanced risk region, you can see that we are expected to have some fairly strong dew points for the enhanced risk region, more so back into the mid and low 70s, and then across the slight risk region for the Detroit region, we have dew points across the 70s, and then for the slight risk region across the Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa region, you can see that we do have dew points that are expected to be in the mid and upper 60s, as well as the low 70s. So across this region in particular, we could see the possibility of some fairly strong instability, possibly getting up to the 3000s in some locations. However, I am going to expect Cape values are going to be mostly in the widespread 2000s range, but we could definitely see the possibility of some Cape values that do reach the 3000s in the areas that are more so back in the mid and low 70s and low 70s across the Detroit region and the enhanced risk region. Taking a look at our instability, focusing on the enhanced risk region, the slight risk region, and the other slight risk region, you can see that we are expected to have some fairly strong instability. We are expected to have even extreme amounts of instability for the enhanced risk region. We are expected to see Cape values that do get up to the upper 3000s as well as the mid 4000s. And we are expected to see Cape values that are going to reach the widespread low 5000s and possibly into the mid 5000s across Missouri, Arkansas, and parts of Oklahoma. So this is going to be extreme amounts of instability for this particular region, and will definitely support the possibility of some large hail, as well as the possibility of some strong damaging winds, and the possibility of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes for this particular location, depending on our directional shear, which I don't know how strong that will be because the mid-level flow was fairly zonal. However, it did look like it had a little bit of a change in direction. But then as for this other slight risk regions, you can see that we do have overall weaker instability. We are expected to see Cape values that could be in the 2000s, more so in the mid 2000s for both particular locations. So again, this will support the possibility of some small to medium hail, as well as the possibility of damaging winds, and maybe the possibility of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes for the 2% tornado threat over back in this direction. Taking a look at our energy helicity index, focusing on the 2% tornado threats, you can see that we are expected to see some widespread energy helicity index readings getting up to the 3s and the 2s and the 1s as well. So we could see the possibility of some fairly weak but definitely sufficient directional shear for this entire location to support the possibility of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes for this 2% tornado threat in the enhanced risk region and this 2% tornado threat in the Detroit region. However, this entire area does have quite a lot of instability and quite a lot of directional shear based off of these energy helicity index readings. So again, both of these 2% tornado threats could see the possibility of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. And if you live in any of the areas that I covered for today, please stay weather alert for the time being, and hopefully I will be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.